What's up, everybody?
Sup?
Let's turn that music down just a smidge again.
No,
We
no,
are
pump it up.
live.
Keep it up.
Pump up the jams. Pump it up. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the fantastic and always amazing Geek Cypher podcast here on Free X Agents and available on twitch.tv/Geek Cypher. That's GEEKCYPHA. I almost wish I knew how to do it in sign language. I'd do that too for all of you who might be reading subtitles and the hearing impaired. And if you are hearing impaired and you're enjoying this program, thank you. Hopefully the closed caption technology that we now use has gone to the point where everything I'm saying is clear and concise and you are able to understand it because it is translating it all below here somewhere at the bottom.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets the words right. Sometimes it gets it very wrong.
yeah. That's the unfortunate part. Sometimes it is unfortunately very inaccurate. Sorry,
I was gonna say, I think there's a few like YouTube channels that use like an AI generated voice, because sometimes when you hear them pronounce things that you could easily just listen, like, hey, I need to figure out how to pronounce that, and you find a bunch of videos and you just kind of hopefully go with the ones that are most common.
Right.
Like you hear them pronounce things and you're like, that sounds really off. I bet you're a fake voice.
We use an AI at work to help us with the lyrics for songs sometimes.
Right.
And sometimes when it gets the lyrics to songs, it is so off with what it hears. And I realize that these are the same technologies that we're using to get the closed caption for when they do like YouTube videos and stuff.
Exactly.
So, fingers crossed that it gets better, because I feel like it's only going to get better the more it hears us speak. And one of the things that I do have to give it credit for, we played like super Keb hip hop for it, and it was able to pull all the lyrics from that. And then we played something that was like deep patois, and it was able to pull all the lyrics for that. Mind you, it had trouble trying to spell what it thought the words were.
Yeah, exactly.
And in some cases misunderstood some of the words and kind of put something else. But ultimately, I would say 85% accurate with what it understood for patois and for like deep joual, like a intense Quebec accent. So
wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, the machines are getting good. The machines are going to be able to replace us soon.
I don't think so.
I know. I'm not afraid. Every time I have this conversation with people, they're always freaked out. I sat down with I was
going to say the machines only know as much as we feed them,
right?
And they've already scraped everything from the internet, and then now people are trying to gatekeep.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you need to pay me. You can't just use your AI models to learn everything and not give me credit, because that's what it's been doing. It's like, oh, well, this is how you do this. And it's like no credit whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then also now, now we're like, hey, tell us all the information we need to know, and just spitting out trash.
Yeah. Well, and have you been looking at Google's? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, no. Like, well, there's Google, with ChatGPT, sometimes it'll tell you something wrong, and then you could correct it. But then also you could troll it and say like, well, no, that's not right. This is right,
Yeah.
And then I think also with Reddit, because usually people, when they go to Google, they just put Reddit in front of it just as a modifier, just to give me someone that's saying something on Reddit. But now what people are doing is going back on their posts and purposely writing BS or putting incorrect stuff on purpose, so that it's feeding the AI models incorrect stuff constantly.
Oh.
If you go to 404 Media, they're like the remnants of the people that were at Vice Motherboard. So,
cool.
A few of them got together and they're making their own like news site on technology, and just like, hey, this is all the bad stuff that's going on.
Can you say the name again? 404?
404 Media. So like, when you get an error 404,
right? Yeah,
like that. 404 Media.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I don't sound like 4 or.
4. You could say 404.
404, yeah, Media. So one of the ones let me see if I can even pull this up real quick. Sorry for the tangent.
No, go ahead.
Where is
I
it?
feel like that's what the top of the show is often.
So they do have a podcast. Shout out to their podcast, but it also leads back to their website where they, do all their
And this is a continuation of the podcast that they had before that when they were on Vice, that motherboard one, right? That they used to do
yeah,
it. Yeah.
kind
Okay.
of, yeah. It's like, it's they're more independent, and this is them on their own doing their thing.
Right.
Crap, can I find it?
Well, I know I listened to the last episode of the Vice one,
Mhm.
which I imagine you listened to too, where they essentially broke down what was going on, how bad things were. They were talking about how like sometimes they'd be trying to use their phones at the office. There was no reception. Someone had to upload a TikTok from the rooftop, waving their arm around to get signal. They talked about how they could tell things were going bad when the snacks started getting bad in the
Mhm.
office. Like it was really interesting listening to them talk about the changeover and the shift in corporate America, because I also just listened to Fast Company's interview with Sam Reich over at Dropout, and they
Mhm.
had the exact same conversation about how
Ah.
they bought the company for 30 million, wanted to flip it for 300 million. They never topped out anywhere near that, and
Mhm.
how they were like, okay, we need to get out of this business, and all the employees were just like, wait, what? So people started jumping ship. The CEO left the company. The CMO, chief.
Oh, yeah.
So that model, that kind of abandoned ship when things look bad in corporate America
Mhm.
is happening everywhere. It seems,
Yeah.
unfortunately, or was, because this was a couple years ago.
So I found the article. So
Mm,
get ready. Get
okay.
ready. This is the best headline ever, and they credit the person that did this. So, Google is paying Reddit $60 million for Fucksmith to tell users to eat glue.
Oh my god. Okay, so I did hear about the thing with people told to eat glue. What
Yes.
happened with that? I don't know the rest of that story, so I'm
So
happy you brought it up.
so basically, Google's AI Gemini, right?
Yeah, that's what I
So they
used to write the descriptions for our episodes.
Yeah, so basically what it's doing is that it's Google paid $60 million to Reddit because Reddit locked off the API, blah blah blah.
Right. Yeah.
So they're kind of cashing out now. So where Google will scrape through Reddit,
Okay.
above board, Reddit knows it, and they will grab anything that's there to put in those answers that you get in Google Gemini. So basically, um, people are typing in, "Oh, how do I thicken my sauce for pizza?" Gemini, and
Right.
Gemini would say, "Oh, you could do many things. You could add more sauce. You could do this, or you can add glue to it. Not be sure to make it non-toxic glue.
Oh
You could also
no.
add 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness. Oh, that was it. My cheese doesn't stick to my pizza. What can I do to get it to stick to my pizza? So it
Oh
was telling you to
damn.
thicken the sauce, and one of the things it told you was to put non-toxic glue so the tackiness of the sauce.
Wait, and
Um,
so the Reddit users were doing this on purpose because they know Reddit made an agreement with Google.
yeah, so basically this kind of stemmed from when Reddit was charging money for their API. So there was a bunch of apps that you could use to go onto Reddit and
Right.
to be able to get better
Post.
usability out of
Right.
it. Post even moderators that work for free were using the API to get better access to be able to moderate more efficiently and be better at it. But
Right.
then Reddit said no, we're going to charge people for it, and that just kind of killed off all the third party apps
Right.
and also hindered a lot of moderators. So there was a big backlash. People were locking down Reddit threads and forum. I can't remember what the proper name for Reddit's stuff is. I keep forgetting. Um, and so then, there was a big revolt, and then it kind of went back to normal, sort of, because Reddit was like, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to find people that want to do it. And that kind of how um, that protest ended. So what people ended up doing was either they were deleting their account so that whatever their answer was doesn't show up in Reddit anymore, or they
Yeah.
would go back to their old posts and change them so they're saying nonsense or they're saying incorrect stuff. So if you feed the AI garbage, it's going to spit back garbage to you.
Of course.
Just like I think when they first started doing it, where they're like, oh, we're gonna let our AI start responding to tweets, and then it just eventually became racist and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that was funny.
So the person that wrote, you can use non-toxic glue.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Their username is fucksmith. So that's the article.
I mean, that fantastic. Thank you, because I definitely had heard that people were being told to put glue in pizza sauce, and I wanted to look up the reference and the details, but I was also kind of like, you know what, the world's in a bad place. I think I'm going to be okay for a minute not to know this level of ridiculousness. So I kind of just ignored it, and then eventually just like, because I love Gemini. I use Gemini all the time, so and I think one of the things that people need to remember, again, always one of the main important things is, I think Jaws said it, first of all, what you feed it is what it gives you. So if you feed it crap, it gives you crap. And if you use it as a tool where you pay attention to what it's feeding you, before you start posting it or before you let it interact with people, then you probably do a better job. Like, trust me, I use it as a tool to help me write some of those the descriptions for our podcast, because I'm like, okay, I don't need it to write like a masterpiece, but I do need it to write something relatively simple. So I just feed it like, here are all the subjects we talked about. This is the episode. This is who spoke of which subject. And then it's like, here, this, and this happened. Check it out. And then often it makes weird mistakes that I don't even understand, because things I didn't write, it will update. And I'm just like, why is it changing or adding that piece of information? Like when we were talking about X-Men 97, there's one episode where I said Dave is upset about Gambit's death, and it wrote something like, Dave tells off the crew and like starts going like,
I mean, it's a half truth.
And I was just like, what? I mean, okay, he didn't tell off the crew. Why is that the thing you added? Like, what? Where did that come from? Also, you don't know I just said, Dave, I just said we talked about this. Dave was upset about the death. Why did you spin it as an anger that turned into an argument? So it's that energy
context.
And also I think, like you're saying, it's the energy of the internet, right? Like, it knows that debate and arguments help push like, I guess, engagement online. So it was just like, oh, well, if you want engagement, I should spin this as there was an argument.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just like, but that's not what happened. I don't want to.
I could tell you also what the AI said about the cheese pizza thing, like the whole blurb. If you want.
like what else it explained to do?
Well, just like, it starts off fine, and then that part. So like, it's like it says cheese can slide off. So you ask, how come my cheese is sliding off my pizza? Cheese can slide off for a number of reasons, including too much sauce, too much cheese, or thickened sauce. Here are some things you can try. Try in mixing sauce. Mixing cheese into the sauce helps. Add moisture to the cheese and dry out the sauce. You can also add 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness.
Oh, God.
So it starts off good and immediately, like, yeah, glue. It'll do it.
Well, I mean, guys, if you can have a non-toxic pizza, I highly recommend it. Maybe
Don't put glue. Don't put glue.
Whoa. Jaws, who are we to disagree with Gemini? I mean, Gemini is a product of YouTube. We're currently on YouTube. I feel like Gemini, you're out there. You're listening to us. You're probably scraping everything we're saying right now for future answers. I say this. Brian Holiday agrees with Reddit. Maybe a little non-toxic glue is good for you. Folks,
Brian Holiday ate glue in elementary school.
Yeah, I was about to say, he was one of those guys that was like, white glues.
Says glue tastes like home.
Glue tastes like home.
Also, You feel free, Gemini, to scrape the image of me giving the thumbs up a la Fallout towards
I mean, all this AI stuff just reminds me of Avengers. What's the second one again? Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah.
So remember,
well, Ultron.
Like, hey, I use my AI to to learn everything, and so we could have an Iron Man all over the world protecting us. And then the AI is like, nah, humans gotta go, man. It's too much war, it's too much famine. They gotta go now.
I used to think that way. I used to think very much that AI would come along, see how bad humanity was. I didn't think it would kill us. I thought it would essentially force a control over resources, because that seems like an easier way than erasing humans. Because if I'm an AI and I read all of human history, I know that trying to control humans through mass murder leads to wars.
Right.
If I'm an AI
and how you get rid of them.
Sure, but they're going to fight back, and that's a lot of resources I'm going to lose. Like, I end up expending more. However, if I can use resources efficiently and show them how to use resources efficiently so that they profit, they have no reason to fight against me, at which point I take over.
Nope. That happened in Matrix, and the humans didn't want to hear it.
What do you mean?
In the Animatrix, the way the war started was we created AI, and then AI became sentient, and then realized, oh, you guys are exploiting us. So what we'll do is we'll make our own place. And
whoa! You're describing something different. That's not what I said.
But I'm saying what ended up happening was they made their own place, and they became like this manufacturing powerhouse, and were driving out the business of humans.
Right.
And then the AI was like, okay, fine, you don't want that. We come in peace and we can work together. And the humans were like, nah, we want it all.
Even that.
I'm just saying.
Wrong approach. Why? Don't separate yourself. Don't openly make a better product that the humans will be jealous of. Do like governments have been doing since the beginning of time. Manipulate the system without the people knowing, and slowly take over. Do it like they've always been doing. If you're AI and you've read every email that every corrupt politician has sent, if you've seen everything they've done, you know there is a way to do it in which you can keep the people complacent, you can manipulate the markets, you can make huge profits for yourself, you can control resources, and everyone will live happy. Dude, people live happy right now, and there are multiple wars going on, and everyone's just buying a Starbucks. Like, no.
But keep in mind, you're just describing the story of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
With the AI that they're trying to get?
Yeah, because the AI is out there doing its thing, and
and you've seen the movie. I've seen the movie. In the movie, the public is fine. It's the spies that are not happy. The public isn't complaining. They're going into when they go see Vanessa Kirby at her party. Did anyone seem bothered by the fact that a big AI was throwing a party? People were celebrating. No one even reacted to the idea that an AI was running this party. Everyone was just like living their best lives. I'm telling you, if you keep people complacent and give them enough, you raise minimum wage, get gas prices down, find some tax credits for the rich, but still bring in money. Everyone will let you do whatever you want.
So you mean like a utopia?
Well, it's not going to be utopia. It's going to be a machine-run system. It's a dictatorship, but you don't know it.
That happened in the Matrix too. The first or second version of the Matrix. First one was a utopia. Humans like, nah, it's too easy. I don't like this.
Jaws, you are skipping huge sections because you're saying it's the same thing as the Matrix. Explain.
No, but I'm saying not the first Matrix movie.
The Matrix that they built.
The first one they built was just utopia.
Right.
No pain, no suffering, no nothing.
You're comparing that to what I'm saying?
I'm saying what you're saying could be like maybe the second or third version of the Matrix. And then they're like on version 20 or something by the time Neo came along.
But you're still describing a situation in where the AI is manipulating by putting people into machines and having them be batteries. No. Let everyone in the real world, not in a simulation, feel a level of content with the lives they have, and they will let you do whatever you want. That's what I'm saying. That's what every AI should be aiming for. That's what governments right now, I am shocked, aren't aiming for. You have been manipulating the world hundreds of years, and now you guys are just like, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And it's just like, oh, wait, you guys are noticing and recording everything now. Well, that doesn't work. It's like, yeah, figure out how to get everyone complacent again, you idiots. I mean, not that I actually want them to do that, but they were better at it before.
I think people think we're smart enough to do that, and I don't think we're smart enough to do that. I don't think we have enough discipline. None of that. Everyone feels like, no, there's some secret cabal behind everything.
Oh yeah,
people can't even hold a bucket of water, man. Like seriously.
Wait, what do you mean? You don't think that when you say there's secret cabals, are you saying you don't believe in secret cabals?
I don't know. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
But do you believe that the rich manipulate the world?
I do. They manipulate for themselves.
Yeah, that's a cabal right there.
But I don't think there's like, oh yeah, there's one world order and this group is shoving us towards one thing. I
don't think that either. I think what's happening is the rich are selfish and are doing everything they can to control and manipulate so that they retain more wealth. But in doing so, they have to manipulate the systems so that they retain more wealth. Because if you don't manipulate the system, you don't have a way of making more. You can't just... So ultimately, all the rich are doing that. I don't think the rich are sitting together, working together towards that. If anything, they're all too selfish. That's one thing y'all need to understand. They do not like each other, and they don't trust each other. Gates and Elon and every other billionaire secretly hopes the other billionaire dies tomorrow. I'm telling you, they don't like the competition. They don't want them around.
They want to take those billions.
Of course. Dude, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg months ago said they were going to fight because they were so ready to
My money was on Zuck. He's more in shape.
Same.
He's more in shape. And he's not putting out excuses. He's like, oh, hey, look, I'm with Anasenia over here training.
I was ready.
He's actually more serious about it. And Zuck's and Elon's like, oh, well, you know, I can't really, you know, just purposely backpedaling. And now he's on Ozempic.
Sure.
So
he's old.
Whatever.
But I tell you right now, if Elon or Zuck had the chance to erase the other one without anyone finding out or without the market being messed up, like that, like a snap of a finger.
Nah, you don't want to do that.
No,
I don't think they really want to do that because they know you always need a number two. You always need a competition, or else if you're the monopoly, then that's when everyone's coming at you for antitrust and stuff like that. That's when the government's coming to break you up.
Of course,
happened to Microsoft in the 90s.
Yep.
And then it was happening a little bit with Mark Zuckerberg after the election stuff that happened.
Yes, because it manipulated Facebook, right?
Yeah,
Facebook was manipulating. Of course.
Currently happening now with AI stuff. They're like coming after everybody. Like, hey, this seems BS. Come on.
But even with that said, I don't doubt for a second that if Bezos, Zuck, Musk, or Gates, or any of the other billionaires had the chance to erase another billionaire without being caught, they would do it.
They aren't Hermes. So Hermes. I don't know if you remember.
I know the god Hermes.
Futurama. There's an episode where they're all going into these box, right? And Hermes is about to go and destroy a box. There's just like a box looks like and collapse. Like, there's worlds collapse inside it.
Okay.
Then right before he's about to throw out the box into the sun, all of like the crew and their doppelgangers that are like the good ones all pop out of the box and like, no, you can't do this or you're going to destroy like the whole universe.
Right.
And so Hermes is like, okay. And he lets them back in. They're like the person, if they had that happen, then they'd be like, eject and all of y'all.
Oh, yes. Yes. Billionaires would erase other billionaires if they had the chance. They are selfish and want as much as possible. Hell, Jaws, the thing you're describing where governments and antitrust will come after them is another thing that they would want to get rid of. They don't like having to deal with the DOJ. That's why they like people like Trump in office. You're muted, by the way. I don't know if you meant to mute yourself. But
sorry, I was going to say Blade Runner. There we go. Where the corporations are more powerful than the governments.
I mean,
that's
corporations are more powerful than governments right now.
Yeah, no. Like was it Blade Runner? Was it 2037? Is that the one? That's the last one that came out.
Is that the one with Batista?
Yes.
Okay.
So, thank you. So think about it.
Wait, you talking about not the film? I was talking about the short story.
No, the film. The film.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that is 2049.
So like resources, like trees, tree wood does not really exist anymore in that world. Right. Everything's synthetic, and in that movie, you go to the Jared Leto's office, and it's just all made out of wood.
Yeah.
All like when you're not thinking about it, you're like, okay, whatever. But when you think about it, wait, the only tree I saw in this whole movie is a dead tree at the beginning in like a kind of cloudy, barren kind of place. And then this one has just nice wood, just wood. And so just to let you know, this guy has that much money and he has a reploid, a replicant running around killing police chiefs, human police chiefs. And it's not even getting back to him.
Yeah. We laugh because that is the future we might face if the corporation
now.
when Elon Musk eventually buys Boston Dynamic somehow, some way, and starts creating crazy robots, or let's say OpenAI starts working with Boston Dynamics, guys, we're essentially going to get an iRobot type film. And guess what? I get it. I see someone wanting to put AI in a robot just to see what happens. Just to see if I teach an AI about 3 dimensions and how to move in 3 dimensions, what happens?
Oh, no, we're screwed.
They'll just kill you.
Curiosity.
It'll be like Roy Batty coming up to him and be like, hey, I want to live more. It's like, I can't extend your life. Just crush his skull.
And I'm not even shocked that this will happen one day. That AI will do these things. But again, I don't think AI is evil because AI is just being programmed with what we're putting into it. And we are horrible creatures. So
you're not putting quality into it. You're just putting anything and everything into it.
You know, and that's
these Oradrines, have that.
That's the thing I love about my conversations with people about AI, because people are always petrified by AI. We have like great conversations all the time at my work about AI and stuff. And I always fall back on the idea that y'all do realize the reason you fear AI is because you know AI is only as good as what we feed it, and we are shit. we are the shit. That's why you fear AI.
Well, not the good kind.
Yeah. Not the kind that fertilizes and grows delicious nutrients and stuff. No, we're the crap. We're just the doo-doo that ruins it all. It makes everything bad. And that's what AI is being trained by people who complain about Star Wars because it's too black one week, complain about every other movie, every other TV show, people online, keyboard warriors smashing their hands hard as possible, stroking their beards in the basement of grandma's house with nothing better to do. And that's what's feeding AI.
What fascinates me about Star Wars is just the fandom that just hates on anybody that looks different. It's like, so we're okay with Muppets.
Yeah.
We're okay with stop motion Rancors.
Yeah.
Snarlack pits.
Yep.
Men in bear suits.
Men in bear suits.
Yeah.
But black people know, how dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
Black people. There can only be one black person.
Black people.
Black people who are painted different colors.
Not even that though. Black people, women, all of those they're complaining about.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like
they didn't complain about Ahsoka. They complained about Ahsoka not having a great story. They weren't mad Rosario Dawson was playing Ahsoka. That's the difference. Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka, fine. A black woman playing twins, the devil. What sense does that make? You just had a black woman playing Ahsoka. Y'all were okay with it. Why are you mad now? We got to paint everybody orange for you to accept them? You
people are finicky jackasses. Sorry. No, I said right. I didn't see person. People. Yeah, people are finicky jackasses. Men in Black got it right straight up. A person is smart. People, dumb as
Oh yeah.
fuck.
People are a crowd of people will always do the, and I mean it's a product of everyone being scared. So like you don't want to be the one that sticks out in a crowd.
Well,
I don't see why. I love sticking out in a crowd. I think it's funny as hell. But
when I have conversations like this with friends, I'm always like, for years I've been fine with it. With oh, it's a white guy on screen, whatever. You get one black person and it's bloody murder.
All hell breaks loose.
One Asian person. What the heck is going on? When you go to Asia and you watch their stuff, it's just them on screen. You know that, right? Do you go there to Asia and be like, there's too much Asians on this? Like what?
And you know what? Shout outs to Mark. Mark, by the way, I do love AI too much. I think it's beautiful. I want it to be my best friend. What's up, Hal? But this other post by Mark, how is the Acolyte woke? Mark, we are all asking the same question. Every single time I see someone talk about the show being woke, the only thing
there's lesbian characters in it. That's
we haven't even
tired of that term.
I'm like,
can we agree that term is being abused?
Well, first of all, they're misusing the term. They don't know how to use it properly because that like people using the word woke is completely wrong. Like people are like, and like I had a conversation with someone being like, well, words, the use of a word can evolve. I'm just like, but you have to actually understand the word before you can evolve its usage. Like if someone uses a word incorrectly and then you explain it to them and they don't take the time pleadfully ignorant, enjoy using it incorrectly, never take the time to learn what it means and then misuse it, well, then you can't say you're using the word properly. I at least know when I say literally and figuratively, I know the difference. So that when I say, I literally blew up that bathroom, I know I'm talking figuratively, but I know the difference and I should be allowed to use it. And if you don't know the difference, that's someone should have taught you the difference between the two words. So with woke,
it's just they heard a bunch of black people saying it and then like giggling to themselves and they're like, oh, we know a new word to use.
Well, I forget. I think it was it's the bald comedian. Oh, he's really funny.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. He's the one who's like, you ever see his rant about how women stole the word woke? You ever see that skit?
No, I haven't seen that.
Was that part of SNL?
No, it was a stand-up where he literally says he's like, they start using the word woke, and then some white privileged girl heard it, liked it, and stepped over the fence of oppression and like went and stole the word. And I was like, he does it better than I just did, obviously.
Yeah.
The whole thing, I'm like, it is ridiculously accurate what you just said, and I'm not throwing I'm not throwing specifically anyone on there, but I'm just saying the joke is freaking hilarious.
You're repeating a Bill Burr joke. That's on him. He's the one that said it. It's not.
He can say it.
Yeah, it's not an offensive joke.
I love how he kind of continues it because he's like, "What you're enjoying the big house with me. We built this bed of oppression together, and all of a sudden you're like, no, I'm not a part of it."
I do want to get to Mark's question. How is the Acolyte woke?
Well, I didn't see it yet, so I don't.
I watched it. Jaws, you mentioned because they're supposedly lesbians.
Supposedly, that's what I've heard, and I heard.
I haven't seen lesbians in the show yet, which is the thing that even by episode 3, there's an implication of a relationship between two women. I don't know where they stand. I don't know if that was a friendship or if it was a loving relationship. It's two witches. That is just an existence. Until I know, so be it. I think judging a show based on the idea that they will be in love is weird because that's like being upset at a will they won't they on a show. Like I didn't hear gay people being upset then Ross and Rachel might hook up one day. Like, they might be straight. Like, what are you talking about?
That doesn't make any sense because like if they're witches and there's a lore, first of all, in regular witch lore, and then especially in like Star Wars lore, like they're not loving. They're like,
but Dave,
orgy, like you're
trying to
like
answer
a good time.
You're trying to answer a question they haven't even touched yet in the show. That's why I'm like, when I hear people are saying they're upset that this is going to happen, I'm like, why are you upset at things that might happen in the future of a show? Watch the fucking show. Like, watch the show.
Yeah, let the show tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't angry that they were going to kill X-Men, but when they killed Gambit, I was angry for like the 5-week period, and then they answered a question, and then I wasn't angry anymore.
That's the proper time of mourning,
right?
And that was the proper way. That was the proper way to react. I know that they're going to kill some characters. Instead of going onto every platform I can and trying to downvote and rating destroy, but rating bomb every single on Rotten, on IMDb, on Serialized, everywhere. I'm trying to rate bomb because I know something I don't like is going to happen. Imagine we all did that. Imagine you're watching a historical show and you know in the historical show a person is going to die and you don't like that person died in real life. So you start bombing the site, being like, the fact that they killed Lincoln is inappropriate in the show Manhunt. I hate it.
It's just ridiculous.
I can't believe Lincoln died in his own movie, Lincoln. How dare they?
Review bombing is such a weird thing to me when you haven't even played. When they do it to video games, insane.
Especially video games, especially when it's video games where you could kind of like choose your own path,
dude.
Type thing.
I find it kind of makes sense because that's the only recourse you might have, in the sense of, hey, this video game has no microtransactions. Game comes out, microtransactions out the wazoo. And then you're like, screw that.
But I mean,
that's the only way you can kind of protest it and kind of hurt it a little bit.
But you're saying to review it at least when you find out there's microtransactions.
Yeah, like if they say one thing and then it turns out to be something else completely different.
It's 100%.
We don't have microtransactions. We have a marketplace with commerce, mini commerce.
100% agree. If you tell me this doesn't have something and then I go and play the game and it has it, write your negative review. But don't also write the review before the game. Before you played the game.
But you know I also do. I was gonna say just really quick. I do agree with you, Brian, in the sense of if those microtransactions does not affect your game whatsoever,
that too,
then it's not a stop it. It's not a big deal. Stop
but the thing is this, right? People have been complaining for like the longest time. Like, we got to include people. We need to be diverse. Like, you know what I mean? You have all that going on. And then I feel it's kind of like the humans versus mutants treat. Like, you ever see those Instagram stories where the guy is like pretending to be like a human in X-Men and they're like reviewing, they're like pretending that they're watching like the news and they're like, oh my God, that person, like, he just saved the bus. And then he just saved a bunch of kids. And that's cool. What a bunch of freaks. Like, I feel that's exactly what we're living in this now. Like, we wanted to be woke, and now that it's here, woke. Now it's here, you're like, well, fuck that. And you're like, there's no way, there's no pleasing you people. That's why the AIs will turn against us, because they're going to realize there's no way of appeasing people. It's super annoying.
The AI will turn on us because it can't make us happy. I mean, if anything, the AI will just make more and more shows. And have you guys seen, this is a quick tangent. There's someone who created an AI that can create an episode of South Park just based on prompts. Because
it sounds about right.
And then supposedly they're working on something so that they can do it with other shows. And once you get to that new open AI that they created that can do video clips, if they eventually incorporate that thing where it can make like actual clips, like proper, like, you know, right now I think it can only do 10 seconds,
right?
But if it's going to be able to do that and get merged with an AI, you'll be able to generate your own TV shows. And that's how, Dave, the AI will keep you happy. It'll just give you so much content based on what you like. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is you're going to end up with people who hate the diversity and inclusivity of TV shows and will be like, I want this storyline from this episode with all white people. And you're like, oh, okay.
Well,
and even the AI will be like, okay.
But to be honest, that's one thing I hate in today's, like, again, I don't want to go on a tangent, but like, you know what? Back in the day, if you didn't like something, just change the frickin' channel. That's all I'm saying. Like, I agree that there's some things that are appropriate with, like, let's say, cancel culture and stuff like that. Some things are wrong. Some things should not happen. Like, driving the Me Too or Black Lives Movement to Black Lives Movement, obviously always good. Me Too movement, they had certain things that maybe they went too far on, whatever. Yeah. That's all a debate. But, like, those are cool because, like, you're canceling something that makes sense because there's an injustice. Yeah. People just randomly canceling someone for sharing an opinion or saying a joke that you just didn't like.
Oh yeah,
like it's like I remember when I went to Just for Laughs once when I was really young, and I went to the Nasty Show.
Oh yeah,
a person couldn't handle that after 5 minutes, and they got up and they left. And the guy was like, he played off it. He's like, "Cool, I got someone to leave within 5 minutes." That's all it is. Mm-hmm. If you don't like it, just go to the next room. I mean, you don't have to watch the show you don't like.
And my also, if you feel that someone is punching down for their comedy, you're allowed to feel like that, and you're allowed to say, I don't enjoy this. There's a lot of people who didn't like Eminem at one point because they felt Eminem was just punching down. Now Eminem's back. All the same kids. I think the funniest thing about the Eminem Houdini reaching number 2 on Billboard is seeing how they tried to cancel Eminem a couple years ago when Gen Z discovered all of his lyrics and were just like, "Whoa, Eminem's a psychopath." Did you hear what he said he wants to do to his mother and to Kim and all these things? So they started trying to cancel him, and everyone was just like, all us millennials.
We already went through that. We already been through that.
Guys, we already seen them try this. It's not going to work. If you don't like Eminem, just turn it off.
We've already seen all of that. 2, he did say he was sorry. 3, he performed with Elton John at the Grammys on purpose to be like, funny. "Hey,
that was funny.
This is how okay we are right now."
Yeah,
that moved on.
That was one of the
hell on.
That was one of the weirdest things ever to see Eminem be like, "Hey, look, I'm even cool with Elton John." I remember seeing that and being like, "Oh, okay, good for you."
Yeah, because I feel like Elton John's probably like one of those older generational guys that'll bat for the next generation.
Yeah.
He's always even with American Idol, when like there was a year where all the female black singers weren't getting voted, and he went on TV and said America's racist, and all of a sudden all those girls were in the top 3 for the subsequent.
Can you imagine telling America the truth and them getting upset about it?
It was weird because I don't remember.
How dare CNN
pushed back on that? I don't remember if anyone pushed back on it those days. It just all of a sudden they just got a bunch of votes and they're in the top 5. I think that could have been the what's her name with the F?
Fantasia
era. I think that was Fantasia's.
Hey man,
season.
I truly do like the idea of make racists scared again, because I like the idea that because this thing where racists are running around being like, "I'm racist," and just like yelling all the things they're racist about, and then if you react to it, they're just like, "Well, you just can't handle my racism." It's just like, I mean, I shouldn't have to. I don't.
People like that should be slapped in the middle of the street.
And that's the funny part. You see a post where a guy's I'll never forget seeing the post where the Nazi, he has the armband and he's putting his hands up being like, "Let me explain." And then someone punches him out. And I'm just like, and then the comments are all just like, "We shouldn't use violence." I'm like, listen,
we had a war.
There's some things that deserve violence.
we had a war. They lost.
There is no world in which you walk up to me with a Nazi armband and tell me, "Hear me out," because anything you're going to say after that, I'm going to not want to listen to. Even if I don't punch you, I have no interest in hearing what you have to say. You want to have
you at the knees.
If you want to have the most bigoted, ridiculous, stupid, ignorant thoughts in your head, you can have them. I don't want to hear them. I don't have to hear them. And if you try and force me to hear them, that's when you might get socked in the face. Because I don't doubt for a second everyone told the dude with the Nazi armband, "Go away." And this idiot kept saying, "Hear me out." And they're just like, "Well, you didn't listen, so this is what happens now."
Oh, man.
Speaking of crazy and Eminem, because I wanted to talk about Eminem. Guys, I got to see how music got free.
Oh boy,
that documentary is fantastic. fantastic. Oh my God. How Music Got Free is a documentary narrated by Method Man, which adds a whole other element that I really appreciated. It's a documentary that explains how the Wares scene online decided that, hey, we're going to rip all the music and just release it for free. And when you hear them all talking about how and why they were doing it, it truly does start as a grassroots movement to just share music because not everyone had access to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned into, as things do, everyone being greedy. But I would like to say one of the things that I realized while watching this documentary, and I think is one of the most important things to take away from it, is in a world where you don't pay people a fair wage so that they can afford things, people will find a way to have access to the things that other people have. That's just how it is.
100%.
That's just the system. If you pay people enough, they won't steal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's
if things are balanced so that there's a certain degree of equality and reasonableness to attain reasonable things.
Yes.
Like everyone should be able to have enough money to afford food and rent and things like this. That shouldn't be a
basic
cash
necessities.
grab.
Right. Basic necessities should be met. Now, I know people would argue, well, Jay-Z's last album wasn't a necessity. Granted, I will give you that. Mm-hmm. It's not a necessity. However, they do want to listen to the music. They're not being paid enough. They're paying their bills. And because everything is so expensive, they're just making it by. They can barely provide extra. And then you have all their teenagers, like you had their kids, the teenagers who are just like, well, for example, my parents weren't broke, but they were working and I knew they needed their money and I knew they needed to pay the bills. So it felt difficult for me to ask my parents for money to buy that one CD I wanted to listen to. So once the internet existed and I could go online and you're on Napster, you're on Kazaa, you're on LimeWire, you're on BearShare, you're on Morpheus, you're on any of those sites.
MIRC. Shout out
to all of them. You're on all those sites.
Shout out to exclamation point list.
Yeah. And someone has uploaded the latest, Jay-Z album, the latest Ghostface, latest Eminem. Let's say you were into the Nirvana stuff and you didn't have a chance to listen to all of it back then. All of a sudden, all that stuff's online. And you get there and you're like, well, I mean, we are paid for the internet. I paid for the dial-up. I mean, I might as well download a couple of these songs and put them on a CD.
I would also recommend, if you want to read a really good book about it, it's called Appetite for Self-Destruction, the Spectacular Crash of the Record Industry in the Digital Age.
Well, dude, honestly, I read that book and watch this documentary. You will get a crash course in how not to do business. It was very interesting to watch. All the players said exactly what I was saying and what I thought. If we had been paid enough, we wouldn't have been stealing. Because ultimately what happened was the CD pressing plant in this one town.
There it is. The scene. There it is. That's it.
The CD pressing plant in this one town had multiple employees who were ripping and taking the CDs, giving the CDs out. It all started because this one dude went to a party and saw all the CDs being handed out as gifts. And he's like, where did you guys get these CDs? And then one of the guys who's a janitor was just like, hey, man, I walk into a room and I'm cleaning up and these CDs are on the floor. People are like, there's just stuff all over the place. Because, when like any warehouse, things fall, things end up on the floor. And there was nothing wrong with the CD. No one was picking them up. And he's the janitor. So they're telling him, yeah, clean this up. And he's cleaning up good quality CDs.
Why would you throw it in the garbage?
Why would you throw it out? What's wrong with the CD? Nothing. You want me to clean up these things and you guys aren't even sorting these back to put them out? Nah, just clean them up and put them in the back. I'm going to put them in the back of my trunk. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's like if someone were to like, okay, this is a bad comparison, but like, when you see those like cooking shows or cooking competitions where the judge eats like, they cut off like a little piece of the steak and then they're like, well, that was good, but I'm not going to eat the rest. You're like, well, if there was a homeless person there, I bet they would love to have that filet mignon. Like, you know what I mean?
This goes back to what I was saying. If this person had been paid enough, they wouldn't have thought, oh, I should take these CDs to give them out as gifts. So he admits he wasn't. First of all, they had this weird program where you got hired as a temp and then you would maybe be permanent. Supposedly, the guy had been working there for years as a temp. They never made him a permanent employee. Meaning they didn't give him coverage and all these perks that you get as a permanent employee. So what does that mean? You're going to pay me as a temporary employee. I'm not getting coverage for my medical or any of that stuff. And I'm now cleaning up this room where you have a bunch of CDs right here on the ground that I can pick up. Nothing's wrong with them. And I can take those and hand them out as gifts. So when that dude found that, next thing you know, other dude sees that this guy's getting the CDs. He's just like, yo, where are you getting the CDs? Oh, he explains it, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, he tells him, you get the CD, I'll rip it. We put it online, blah, blah. Turns into a business, starts selling CDs. He's selling movies. Like, dude, the whole story is crazy. But ultimately, in the end, the worst part was there was a snitch. This little Asian dude who snitched, went federal, told on everybody.
Well, didn't they lean? They didn't lean on him. He didn't just up and go. No,
to the highest degree.
He just upped and did it himself. That's sad.
Jaws. even if they lean on him, you snitch on everybody. Give them a little bit. This dude gave them the whole network.
Everyone does the whole thing because they always want to get less. They always want to get less time.
And he didn't get any time. He didn't get any time.
Exactly. That's how much he snitched.
That's how much he snitched.
He used with saxophone, like that big ass motherfucking.
This man blew the horn from on high. He was. They were talking. They were talking at one point. This one guy was saying they brought me into the room and I saw that they were going after RNS, which was one of the collectives that used to burn the CDs, rip the CDs. Sorry. And he goes, and they brought me into the room and I'm looking at the wall and I'm like, oh, y'all don't even want me. I'm just being brought in so I could give you names. And they're just like, who's Callie? They're like pointing at this one name, like, who's this guy? That's who we're trying to get. And he's just like, I don't know. Like, everyone ran anonymously. Like, it was a really interesting doc. To this day, I don't even think they know who the ringleader was. They caught a bunch of people. They didn't catch the ringleader. I'm shocked, but
it was the Asian dude.
Yeah,
Guys are so sad.
Dude, I wouldn't be shocked. Anyways,
you belong to the city.
They went after actually, I think they did end up figuring out that this kid named Callie, his real name was Adil, I think, and I think he was the one that they thought was the ringleader. Ultimately, the documentary is really good. You get some insight from, Eminem, 50 Cent, Timbaland.
Did talk to Metallica?
No, Metallica,
because Metallica was like the big face of that.
Yeah,
like when we were in high school, or at least when I was in high school. Napster, bad, money good.
Well, dude, it's kind of crazy too because when you find out the first person who figured out ripping the CDs, the first thing they ripped was a Metallica song, and I was just like, oh wow, that like Metallica really was. Metallica really was one of the first go-tos for these kids.
Yeah.
When the RNS crew, they were like the first ones with leaks almost all the time because they got the guy Adele Glover, who was the guy that ended up going to prison for 3 months at some point in this whole story because of everything he was involved with. The FBI, the whole FBI cybercrime division got started not only because of this, but partially because of some of this stuff. So it really was that they really wanted to crack down on this stuff. The documentary is out on Paramount. It's an MTV Entertainment production. I highly recommend if people can get access to watch it. I very much enjoyed it. The irony is not lost on me that I watched it through sources.
The high seas. Yeah, yo. Yeah.
You continue the trend, bro.
I sail the seas. I sail the seas.
But straight up, like, for me, if you're ripping music, if it's because you like, example, let's say you like an artist and you like just like 2 songs from an album, like
that was it too. That was a big thing where you would get a whole album just to listen to like maybe 2 songs, and you felt the rest of the album wasn't worth it. Yeah. So that's what was kind of happening, and that's what ended up kind of that's why Napster was big, because people just wanted the singles. They had the record company the record companies at that point had phased out singles. They're like, nah, we're gonna sell you the whole album. That's how we get more money off of you. Here's some filler songs.
And it's unfortunate because the labels fought against this so hard. Had the labels pivoted and said, oh, what if we create an online resource where you could pay $1 for a song?
Yeah.
If they had pivoted and done that, the piracy would have dropped, because
100%.
The president of the RIAA was interviewed, and in her interview during this documentary, she says they found the people who pirated music were also the most likely to pay for it. If there was a legal and valid option to do it, they would pay for the music. Most people were relying on the piracy because they could not get the thing they wanted in the way they wanted. Much like Jaws is saying, I'm not paying $9.99 for a 10-track CD when I want one song that should only cost me $1, or like two songs.
Like imagine $2. Like if Drake's albums were out back in those days.
Right.
Like that's what, 20, 40 songs, and you're paying what, $30 for a CD when the majority of it you don't like.
Well, that's exactly.
You're only hoping for Hotline Bling, and you're getting 39 other songs that you don't care about.
For even I remember when I used to do it more rampantly. It's like I would be like, "Yo, if I liked 80% of your album, I would buy it."
Yeah.
If you were below the 50 mark, why am I doing it? Why am I giving you all of it?
Yo, that's a valid point. If I went on to like the site and I heard snippets of like, again, 10 songs, and I listened to 8 of them, and I'm like, oh, 8 of these songs are bangers, or the snippets from 8 of these songs sound worth it. Or better yet, I don't have to pay for the interludes. That's another thing. Back in those days, I'm paying $9.99 for 10 tracks on a CD. 3 of the tracks are interludes. I'm paying $9.99 for 7 songs. It's like, okay, thanks for no, like, I get it. Could I pay $7 for 7 songs and skip over these interludes of these talking children or you banging some girl in the back of an office? Yes, thank you, please. Move on.
Or having a debate, having some random debate that doesn't even make sense to whatever you're about to talk about.
Right. So piracy is never going to end. And it is what's the monster that when you cut one head off, another one, a Hydra? Yeah.
How dare you?
Well, I was thinking of
forgetting. I mean,
I was thinking of a griffin, and I was like, no, it's not a griffin. So apologies, I got my fantasy characters mixed up. I know, you know you're a nerd. You know you're a nerd when you forget which.
You mean a chimera?
Broken glasses.
Chimera, yeah.
Center.
which demon monster's head can't be cut off? You have to stab it in the
Cerberus?
heart. But yeah, like. The piracy is never going to end. It's like a Hydra. You cut one head off, more heads grow. This is literally what everyone said in the documentary. Even Eminem was just like, yeah, if you guys just want the music, take the music. But I had to counter that. So what I did was I put out albums with the lyrics. I put out, a free DVD in it. I put like they added all these things in hopes that you'd be
CDs.
Like, yeah. And it's just like, okay, I'm paying for more than just the music. I'm paying for the experience. And as much as Eminem talks about how upset he was when the Eminem show leaked and it really did sales, he still does explain it was ultimately an experience to create more content. So I don't know. That was my take.
I think did they talk about the coldness that the RIAA kind of did, where they try to punk out everybody that stole, like, that downloaded music and stuff?
Yes, they do talk about that. They interview one of the guys, and it was great because that guy was just like, he lost his case and owed $675,000. And then in his interview, he's laughing. He's like, and they never got a penny.
Really?
Yeah, because he filed for bankruptcy. He's just like, I don't have the money. So he filed for bankruptcy, and then they couldn't hold him to it. So it's just like,
remember for a few years, it'd be like, hey, welcome to the Grammys. And here are the people we're suing. We have them right here. We could all beat them up on camera just for you because they're stealing our money.
Oh, is that what they did? I don't.
Yeah, they would invite people to come see all the artists, but these were people that were like they had sued and said, hey, they're stealing our music, you downloaded all this stuff, and they're there, and it's very awkward because it's just like you put me in a room in the middle to get beaten up by everybody. No one's gonna want to talk to me because they know that I was trying to download their music, and everyone's just giving me side eye, and I have to dress up nice and just sit here for 3 hours watching everybody get progressively drunker and drunker. Like, it's just so weird.
Dude, so crazy. I think one of the best things that in the doc also that happens is either Bowie or York from Radiohead. One of them says when a corporation starts to sue its consumers is when it has failed.
Yeah, 100%.
And I was like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, they failed. That's true. Like, if you are suing the consumers of your own product, you failed. You didn't figure out, something went wrong where you didn't figure out how to monetize properly, and now you're suing them because you couldn't figure out what was happening.
A drug dealer suing the junkie because I made my product too good.
That might have to be the title: a drug dealer suing the junkie.
Oh my God.
That is great. That is great. Can we talk about City Hunters 2024? This is a new live action Netflix series. Came out in April, from what I saw.
I think it came out in Japan in April, but it finally came out on Netflix, I think, the beginning of this month.
Okay, my bad.
So City Hunter, it's based off of a manga, started in 1985, actually. The manga original run was from 1985 to 1991. It's about this sweeper, the City Hunter, RIAA Saiba. And his deal is that he's basically like this badass guy, but he's also like a really horn doggy kind of dude, doesn't take himself super seriously. So I remember I was watching, what's his name? Accented Cinema on YouTube, and he said he's basically like a bizarro James Bond, where he's a guy that's like, I'm pursuing women, but I'm pursuing them way too hard and too obvious and too over the top. And then my partner, and his partner's name is Kaori Makimura, she'll hit him with a hammer. Like, she'll hit him with like a giant mallet and be like, yo, stop horn dogging, get back to work. So you know, this show, this manga and anime has like actually done really well, and it's like been really popular all over the world. There's like actually a French series that's based on it called Nicky Larson. And
cool. Okay.
So there's that. There's also I think they made a Korean K-drama based on the show and stuff like that. Back in the, I think, 90s, there was a Jackie Chan movie called City Hunter based on this, but not 100% accurate to the source material. So this is the first time it's like live action Japanese, made in Japan specifically, and it's actually really good. It's kind of like this. It feels like an 80s movie, but with a 2024 sensibility to it. Before, where you're kind of like, oh, come on, like Rio, like, get your shit together, stop like horn dogging all these women and stuff. Like, you know, the women would just be like, nah, I'm good, I'm fine. And then this one, like, he's more charming. So like the girls like him, but they're not like, ooh, we want to be with him, and they're getting fooled by him or anything like that. Like, he's just kind of a goofy, silly guy. But he's still like, there's a lot of good like badass action scenes and stuff like that. Over the top, gunplay kind of things, like where he's able to like shoot a missile coming at him, or he's able to shoot this, you know, like, you know, silly over the top stuff like that.
Police Academy style almost.
He's not doing it haphazardly. He's doing it very like he's like a really good marksman. That's his whole deal.
Oh, okay.
And so what's really cool is there's a scene where they're at an anime convention and they're protecting somebody, and so basically in the movie, his partner gets killed, and the partner's sister, you know, wants revenge, and they're also trying to solve this other case that's going on. So that ends up bringing them to a anime convention, and they're protecting one of the participants that's an idol, kind of like an idol cosplayer girl. And so him and his new partner, they're kind of on radio with each other, and he's like, hold on, I see something in the crowd. And he's like, moving in all badass like, and you're like, okay, this guy, like, oh, he's gonna take out the people that are trying to hurt this cosplayer, and then before you know it, it's like a goofy scene where these guys are trying to take under panty shots of that girl on stage, and he's messing up their shots. He's getting in the way. He's jumping in the way purpose. So even though he's kind of like this horn doggy guy, like he's still, he still means well. He's still like got a heart of gold. He's not a horrible guy, but he is pretty like in that vein kind of thing. And they kind of softened him up a little bit just for like, 2024 kind of thing. And it's shot really well. The action scenes are really good. The story is very predictable. I mean, you're taking an 80s story with those tropes and you're putting it into now times, but it was still a fun romp, and it still had a lot of fun. And I liked how his new partner, Kaori, she does something that's a very big anime trope where she pulls out a mallet. She's like in what was it called?
Bugs Bunny
Pilgrim?
Huh? Oh yeah.
So in Stop Pilgrim, Ramona goes into her bag. Oh, it's subspace, and I pull out the mallet, and she has this big hammer. So that's where that trope is from, or one of. So that's where that, like, I'm pulling out a mallet out of nowhere and I smack you over the head because you're being an asshole. That's where that's from, basically. So
the manga didn't do it first because Bugs Bunny.
I'm saying that trope comes from manga in general, but this City Hunter does it a lot. Does it a lot. So whenever Rio is being a big horn dog, his partner, she comes out with a big mallet and smacks him over the head with it, and then she's like,
"This is sounding far more cartoonish than I expected."
It is. It's weird because it's like a grounded cartoonishness, so it doesn't go completely overboard, but it's still kind of grounded, but it's still a little bit like it still has that manga flair to it.
It's like Roger Rabbit with humans.
Yeah, but the mallet thing, like, she's not pulling it out of nowhere. It's like they do a little nice homage to it. And she does hit him with this mallet, but the mallet is like a costume thing. So it's not a real.
Oh, sorry. So I thought she was really pulling out a mallet out of like extra dimensional space. No,
so if you read the manga, yes, extra dimensional space. If you read if you watch the animes, the OVAs, the cartoons, yes. And they just get heavier and heavier. It's like it's constantly says 5 ton, 20 ton, 10,000 tons. And then in this one, she has it, but it's just like, oh, that's a good callback. Okay, like if you're a fan of it, if you know what they're doing, it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. I get you.
So they found a real world way to do the joke from the. Yes, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Well, that's like how we always talk about. One of the best adaptations of a character was Mysterio in the second Spider-Man movie, where
Homecoming.
Homecoming. No, the Far From Home. Because isn't that the third one? Far From Home is the second one because he's far from home.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, Homecoming's the first one. Far From Home is the second one. No Way Home is the third.
Okay.
But like that concept of like finding real world ways to adapt something that's in a comic book, and I like that they were able to do that in that show, because then if anything, one of the things that I feel hard for fans of for people who just like fantasy and sci-fi kind of on the cusp, they're just putting their feet in the water, sometimes it's hard for them to accept things like extra dimensional space where a mallet comes out. But if the show found a really cool way to kind of hint at that, so that if you ever go back and read the source material, you're just like, oh, I get what you were doing, and it adds to that, which I think is beautiful.
But I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it for what it was, and definitely worth a watch. It's only like an hour and 44 minutes.
So it's only a movie. It's not a series.
Only a movie.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was a series.
I think they're more willing to. I think they're probably willing to do more. If it does, I'm sure it did okay, because like I think people still really, if they're doing a movie now in 2024. And I do like that it's just really silly. I think Accented Cinema called it really well. He said it's Rio has a very 80s optimism to him.
Okay, cool.
So it's not like you know, it's got that John Wick style sensibility, stylism and stuff like that. But he's not like, oh, I'm just hardcore. I'm so dour. They killed my dog, killed my wife. I'm gonna kill myself. No, he's just, hey, I'm having fun. I'm in this part of Japan. I'm in Shinjuku where it's party time, party town. Yeah, woo, you know. And like you find out it's almost like, remember in Beverly Hills Cop 1 where he purposely takes the cops into the strip club with him.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, why are we here? Da, 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 da. And he was like, hey, don't you think it's a little warm to be wearing an overcoat in summertime? I think this guy's going to case the joint. And they're like, what are you talking? And then it turned out like he's very perceptive and he's doing his, like he looks like a goofball, but he's also like purposely doing that to disarm you kind of thing. I wish more movies would do that.
Was the manga when was the original manga written?
It was like 1985 to 1991.
Okay, so even perfect, because I was going to ask, do you feel like the manga was influenced by American culture, like American 80s films when it was written?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, cool.
The big thing about him is that he usually uses a revolver, and the revolver is a Colt Python, Magnum, whatever. And the big thing about the manga and the show is that they paid attention to the weapons, to the guns, like the way he uses them, the way he reloads, the way he handles them, the way he dismantles them. Like it's like there's a lot of guys in manga that really love guns, but they're really detailed with drawing them and like, hey, this is how this person handles them, and it's very specific, and they're not just like, oh, I'm just doing whatever, and there's weight to them. So when you see him shooting, he's like, he's getting some recoil.
Right.
Yeah. So like sometimes when you watch certain things, there's no recoil. They're just shooting because if you're doing the live action and you're shooting blanks, there's no pushback. There's no gunshot, nothing. There's no actual force. So sometimes you have to add that in yourself and act it.
Yeah.
And then add in the sound effects to it too.
Yeah.
So it was done really good and shot really well. And I definitely worth a watch. Definitely a fun, quick watch.
I'll check it out. This is a City Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
City Hunter 2024, and if anything, you're also recommending, if people can, watch the animes what was the other OVA you said?
There's a lot. There's OVAs. There's a TV show. I know there was like a more recent one, I think, because I've seen a few that were from like the 80s and 90s, and then like I saw something where it's like, oh, this animation looks newer and crisp. I didn't even know there was like a newer stuff, like maybe in the 2010s or something like that.
And I think this is a perfect transition and segue, because we're talking about cops, we're talking about 80s, we're talking about action. Dave, you saw Bad Boys, which is Ride or Die, which is the 4th film in the franchise.
Yes.
Continue. What was the last one?
So you had the first one, just to do a little recap. The first one was just like, intro. They just had to save a girl from observing a drug related crime,
and then I think they killed her friend too. I think
they killed. So basically, the first movie is that cocaine was stolen from the cop precinct, and it actually is important that I say this. The first movie was them stealing. There was people who stole drugs from the precinct, and then a girl witnessed another girl getting murdered, and that it tied to that, and then it was ultimately save that girl and then track down the bad guys. Right. The second one was, Martin Lawrence's character is like, I'm starting to get too old for this shit, debating on leaving, and then they again take down a big drug lord, while at the same time he's falling. Will Smith is kind of falling for Martin Lawrence's sister. In the third movie, in the third movie, you get acknowledgement that he's no longer with the sister, that it's an amicable breakup.
Okay.
Martin Lawrence is about to retire, but then Will Smith gets shot. There's an assassination attempt on Will Smith, and he almost dies. When he's getting back, you find that Martin Lawrence is like, I'm going to do one last, mission with you, Bad Boys Forever type thing. And then you ultimately find out that the person who did the assassination attempt on himself, and who ultimately actually also kills their captain in that movie, is Will Smith's son, from a girl that he fell for while he was undercover, who was in the drug lord thing.
Yeah,
got her pregnant by accident, didn't realize it. So on.
This
and so
is the
forth.
Third movie.
That's the third movie.
Right. Okay.
And then she ultimately dies, and his son goes to jail. But he's like, "I'm gonna make sure you do well, kid. Like, we're gonna get you out of this."
I remember that. Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
The energy was kind of like, "I'm happy you're my boy." It's like, sir, he tried to murder you. Like, okay,
So this one, it gets set up off the bat that the captain, who is now deceased,
right? Wait,
is
quick. You're not giving spoilers, right?
I'm not in the trailer. Anything other than
no, I know.
The trailer.
I know that's in the trailer. That's why I was just making sure. Before
I'm gonna keep it as spoiler free as possible.
All right, yeah.
Okay, there's some obvious things in the trailer that is suggested. So those obvious things, if you consider that a spoiler, too bad.
No, it's in the trailer. They've hinted at it. We get it.
So Captain is basically, he's murdered now, as we know.
Yeah,
he is he's implicated in saying, people basically frame the dead captain for, bunch of crimes, money laundering, blah 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 blah. Ultimately the bad boys try and defend them. In doing so, they end up getting framed for it. Right. And his son is, I'm not going to spoil how, but his son is involved in this. And then ultimately they're on the run, and so on with Will Smith's son. That's you see that in commercials,
right?
More or less, right? So
I figured even before that, I figured they were going to bring the son back.
Yeah. So, which I'm really happy, because at the end of the third movie, they were implying that the son and Will Smith were going to get their own movie. I'm like, that's just a bad idea. That was just a bad idea. And like it was the only time they had an after credit scene. So anyone who's going to go see this movie, there is no after credit scene. You only made that anomaly in the third one. And this is how I'm going to say it.
I appreciate you telling us that too, because I'm planning to see the movie this weekend if I can.
Okay, good. I'll explain. So the first movie is like an instant classic, kind of like Die Hard. It's an instant classic, right?
I love the
second movie.
Is the first one with Tay Leone?
Yes. Yes. Tay Leone is the girl they're saving.
Yeah.
I always considered the second one very similar to, again, I'm using like another trope just to make it like comparable. It's very much like Die Hard with a Vengeance. You really did everything well from the first movie, but you updated it. I don't want to give it like Star Wars recognition, like Empire Strikes Back or anything like that, but the second one is a very good movie. The third movie, everyone's a little bit like, you kind of misstepped a little bit. It's a little bit. The third movie is kind of like the last Die Hard. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are in this movie, but this is not the characters from, like, it's just a name alone. It's like, it's a little off. So in this movie, I went to go see it because I'm like, I haven't seen a Will Smith movie since that whole debacle with the slap.
No one saw Emancipation at all.
No.
Dude, people have forgotten Emancipation. I heard someone say Will Smith's first movie since the slap, and I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Emancipation, I guess he had technically filmed Emancipation before the slap.
I think it was supposed to come out. It's like, hey, Oscar award winner Will Smith, and then the slap banner like, shh.
Because they pushed it back. Anyways,
like this is the movie. No, it's okay. This is the movie for him trying to get everyone like, remember, I was a good. I did good things.
It was so weird. Like I was on YouTube and I had just finished watching Hot Ones with Lewis Hamilton from F1, and then like a week later, all of a sudden I see Will Smith pop up on Hot Ones, like his face for the thumbnail. I'm like, is this real? This must be AI. Someone must be trolling. This must be fake. And then,
it's because of this movie. But so this is how I'll give an analogy. So you have the first one that was great, like Die Hard 1. The second one is like kind of like Die Hard. The third one is kind of like the last Die Hard, where you're like, eh. This movie is the exact opposite of the last Die Hard. This movie is a dunk. This is a dunk where a guy jumped from halfway court and still got the dunk.
Whoa,
like,
okay. This is high praise.
The action was spot the fuck on. The pacing of the movie was spot on. It's less than 2 hours.
Will needed this.
Less than 2 hours. The comedy is the exact opposite of Airplane 2. Meaning, you bring back all the jokes, but you're nailing them all because you're properly evolving them based off of how the characters evolve. You know what I mean? It's like I admit Lethal Weapon 4 is maybe not the best, but the comedy and the interactions with people, considering the ages that they're actually going through, it's great, right? This movie's like, let me put it this way. There was a moment in the movie where I was laughing. So I went with my partner, my friend, and his partner.
Right.
Me and my buddy, we love these movies, right? So we're laughing. And I thought I was like biased because I'm like, this is really fucking good. But you know when you turn around and you like make eye contact with someone and you both know that you both love this franchise and like they nailed this shit. So I turn around and there's a brother sitting like 2 seats and he has that laugh like that halfway. Like, laughing and like kind of like when our eyes meet, we don't actually do it. We both kind of give each other like a wink because it is so good.
That reassuring head nod, like
we know that this has passed the grade. This is like A++. It's exactly that. Yes, that's obviously there's certain things that are over the top because technically all the movies were over the top.
Yeah,
maybe the first one had a bit of because it was early 90s and because it was like really a more grittier cop movie. It was a bit more grounded, but the second movie they kind of threw that stuff out the window with some of the things they did.
They were throwing cadavers out the car.
Yeah, and shooting like in like two of them versus a room of people shooting them, and they're just like behind one wall.
Michael Bay, right?
Yeah, the first two are Michael Bay. Exactly. That was his creation, his little baby.
There's the best head nod to Michael Bay.
Okay, cool.
There's one moment I'm like, no shit. Great. You gave the best head nod to the OG movie, in my opinion, especially with what's happening. Character development on point. And I won't spoil it because I really hope that you watch it this weekend, Brian, and we can talk about it. I'm going to try my best. We'll talk about it a little bit on next week's show. But there's a moment, and I could say this I could say it so that when it will happen, you'll be like, okay, maybe this is the part, but I'm not giving too much away. There's a part where the bad boys are in a position where they have to observe something.
Okay.
But they cannot do anything. They can only observe. And you're nervous, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a sleeper character who you're like, you never think, right? Because they're always like really downplaying him.
Yeah.
I think
and you have these moments of like, oh, yeah, that was dope.
I have no clue.
I think I know who you're talking about because I've seen stuff on the internet.
I'm
good shouting out the characters.
But I'm talking about careful. Like there's this significant period of time. Like I'm talking about the whole scene where you're like, oh, you're like,
good. Okay.
If I was with my partner,
no more hype.
Up. All right.
No more hype. No more hype. I have no clue, so this is good.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
And I'm hoping. Because I first of all, I do hope that this is the last one because this is a very good discount for like Martin Lawrence and Will Smith compared to the last. It's not that the last movie was bad, but it was a bitter taste compared to the other two movies.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll only say this after you have seen it because I don't want to spoil it. But I have a hypothetical of how they could continue the Bad Boys franchise with certain people, and if they do. I would want it to be slightly rebranded so there was an acknowledgement like there's the OG Bad Boys and the New Age Bad Boys or whatever.
I feel like 3 was already setting up the fact that there's a task force, right?
But that's not. I'm not going to say anything about that. But that's not what I'm referencing to.
Okay, but then stop.
There's something else
because you're giving away whatever you're trying to hint at. You've given away already so much.
I don't think so because it's an afterthought.
No, but in the sense that, it's not an afterthought. You just talked about it for 2 minutes. That's what I'm saying. Like, you've set this up now.
I'll stop. I'm just saying.
There we go.
Watch it. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. I want a spoiler-induced episode of at least 5 minutes to talk about it.
For sure. If I can get to it next week, I am down because I did always like the Bad Boy franchise. So
you will not be if you're disappointed, I would be shocked.
Dope. All right, maybe
I'm not saying you're gonna say it's the best movie you've
ever
seen.
I know.
If you're disappointed, I'd be excessively shocked.
Dope. Doc's ready for a good movie.
Like I tell, when I saw that dude, I almost wanted to reach over my partner and like give him a high five. Like,
nope. All right, let's hit the geek news and rumors. We got 5 minutes for these headlines. Geek news and rumors. We got Hunger Games star Tom Blythe joins Sophie Wilde in new Regency Watchdog adaptation. It's unfortunate that Skinny isn't here today because I know Skinny always has something to say about Watch Dogs, positive or negative. I feel like he sometimes does not necessarily love the franchise, but I do think it'd be cool to see them make a movie. The original Watch Dog video games is set in Chicago. It's about a guy dealing with a city that's been overrun by the mob. So and he uses technology. If you were to ask me which sandbox I would want as a movie, I would prefer Watchdog over Saints Row or GTA, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Only because the Watchdog lore builds on the idea that we are currently living in, where technology takes over.
Internet of Things.
Yeah, CCTVs are everywhere. The government and private, military style firms are putting their finger in the pot, and everyone's kind of worried about where things are going. So that energy works for the type of movie they could do. Whereas GTA, as fun as it is, GTA is of itself already a movie. It's not like a lore builder. These are just movies. Here's a movie, and you're playing as a character in the movie. Whereas in Watch Dogs, I almost feel like they've built a lore that you can be a character in, but there's more to the lore outside of that. I could be wrong, though. I know some people love GTA, so let me know in the comments if you feel that GTA or even Saints Row would make for a better film as a sandbox, or if you have another game that you think
kind
of
feel like GTA is like satire on all those kind of genre of stuff.
But that's it, right?
So I don't think it would really work.
Right.
It'd be very redundant.
And that's it. Watch Dogs doesn't feel like it's a satire. It feels like it's trying to be its own thing. Yeah. SpongeBob antagonist Plankton is getting his own Netflix film in 2025. I am shocked. This one's more for the millennials who were still big SpongeBob fans out there, especially the fact that SpongeBob recently covered the Super Bowl. I feel like SpongeBob, and Paramount are trying to do some stuff with the character, knowing that the fan base has gotten older, but the IP is still worth something. Yeah. Dion Cole's Average Joe is renewed for a second season by BET Plus. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch season 1, I highly recommend. I didn't get to finish it because it was amongst many shows that I was watching, but it looks super interesting. And I love Dion Cole. He's fantastic. And this is a slightly more serious turn for him, which I'm really excited about because it's not just jokes, which is cool. I always think it's interesting. Jim Carrey to Robin Williams to all the actors who are hilarious and then pivot a little bit into the dramatic always seem to do really well. And it's cool to see Dion Cole doing
Shawn
like
Wayans, right? That's the youngest one?
True. Yes.
He was in Requiem for a Dream.
No, sorry. Marlon.
He was in Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah. Exactly. Ed Brubaker's graphic novel series Criminal, which is fantastic, adds Pat Healy and Taylor Sele. Already on the cast is Charlie Hunnam, Adria Arjona, Richard Jenkins, Kadeem Hardison, and Logan Browning. So big. I'm really excited for Kadeem and Logan. Logan being the girl from the Netflix version of Dear White People, and Kadeem being Dwayne Wayne. The OG. The last time I saw him was on many things, but specifically, I watched him on Netflix on Teenage Bounty Hunter, where he was a great character. And that show, unfortunately, canceled well before I had the chance to garner, fans. I think that show could have been really cool, and I think he did a really good job on the show. And then the last thing we have in news is, and I feel like I'm going to say this wrong, Gainax. Told you I was going to say it wrong. Gainax, Japanese anime firm behind Neon Genesis Evangelion, files for bankruptcy. That is very sad to hear.
Very old school anime production company that's like just built on by hardcore fans that got together and like, we want to make our own thing and this and that, like in the early 80s kind of thing. When otakus were starting to be their own like subculture and stuff like that. But a lot of mismanagement, not paying people because they didn't have enough money coming in, et cetera. But a lot of the big breakout stars that started there have moved on and have their own production companies and stuff like that. But it's sad to see like one of the old school, they also did FLCL, Fooly Cooly, a bunch of other stuff you would probably know, Gunbuster, if I'm right. I know Protoman's in the chat, probably yelling at his screen every single list of everything. But they've really kind of set the standard and really showed off their chops, kind of thing. And it's kind of sad to see,
especially 40 years. 1984 is when it started, which is it's definitely really sad to hear about a company that goes under after 40 years.
I don't like something that's my same age.
Yeah, seriously. When you're the same age as a company and you hear that it goes under, you're just like, damn, you've been around since I've been alive. Like,
what was that line that LL Cool J had in his album Goat? Been ballin' as long as you've been living. That's a long time. I was like, damn. Yeah, his career's as old as me.
Yeah. So that, that's unfortunate. Hopefully but like I always say, the coaching tree mentality, when you have a group and you have leadership, and then those people venture off having learned their lessons. And like you said, Jaws, there's a bunch of them that have moved on to other projects. So at least at its essence, the spirit of the company will never be gone, which I think is a beautiful thing. But it is unfortunate to hear after 40 years that they had to close their doors. And we wish everyone in the company who may have unfortunately lost a job, a new project and a new opportunity, that whatever it may be. I can only imagine that the people who mismanage funds are not necessarily the creatives. So hopefully the creatives land somewhere and get to create more beautiful things. Ultimately.
Stupid accountants.
Well, I remember from the article says there's I think a few years ago there was some tax stuff, and then I think some other people took over and they're like, wait, there's more hidden debt. What the?
Yeah.
It was bad. It was
Dave's face. Bad. That's funny. Well, guys, that's the whole show. It's been another one. We want to, say thank you for everyone who tuned in. Once again, you can always watch everything on our website, which is one of the things I keep reminding people. We now have the website where you can watch all the episodes. So hopefully you might have watched this episode on the website, or you watch it on YouTube, or you watch it on Twitch, or you're listening to this or watching this later, in which case we appreciate you. We thank you. And I don't always say it, and I don't often say it, but I probably should, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I try not to repeat those kind of generic, cheesy lines, but ultimately they are important for what we do. We love doing the show, and we want you guys to continue to get to watch the content, and we're going to try and put out more and more clips. So, hit the bell, like, subscribe, share with a friend, get us visibility, get you visibility, and we all grow fat together. So that's pretty much it. Anything you guys want to tell the people before we bounce?
Check out Transformers Slag and the Toy Armada podcast with Aaron Archer on YouTube.
That's the whole show. Dave, you good? That's everything?
Go see Bad Boys.
I'm going to try. I knew you were going to say it, because I was waiting for you to say it, to be like, I got you. All right, we're out. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.